Today I'm going to talk to Anano Ghibradze. She's the digital marketing specialist at Clever, and I'm excited to learn more about how she actually manages her stuff, how she works, and how her brain works. So let's see how it goes.
And once you get used to the roastery coffee, then you cannot go back to office coffee.
Tell me, Anano, who's Anano and what do you do? How do you work?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Noosh, for inviting me. I would say that Anano is a half glass full kind of person in everything she does. I try to be very hopeful for things and keep this attitude in my daily life, in my work as well. I am a very visual person, so it is very important for me to clearly see the structure that I'm working with, to imagine, give myself some time to imagine this structure. Currently, I work as a digital marketing specialist at Cleveron, which is an Estonian company that automates click and collect. But this means that, for example, if you order something from your local Zara store, you can go to the store and pick it up from the either robotic locker or from a parcel solution. For those of you who don't know, Noosh used to be my mentor. We worked together, and all of the understanding and the base knowledge that I have in marketing came from Noosh, from your feedback, from your learning. So I'm very grateful for that experience, and I consider her as my mentor.
Because you post a lot on LinkedIn. Where do the ideas come from?
Sometimes they're random, sometimes they take hours to form, but I just mentioned it that when the content, I don't give any thought to the content and I just post whatever I feel like. That's the content that flies somewhere. Even if the posts don't go viral, which is not always the case and not always the intention, I like it because it helps me structure my ideas. And there's kind of like the place where I keep them for people to see if they want to and if they relate to it as well. Recently, I had a post on something that turned out to be super relevant and relatable for people. And I didn't spend more than 1 minute drafting it. It took 20 minutes for me to write it. It was related the recent news at that time about Bolt, which was the US company Bolt. They went into a big drama and news that they had fired all of the HR team. And when people were complaining about it, they were angry with them. They were tagging Estonian Bolt. So the whole morning I saw this post, but I only saw that because Bolt Estonia was commenting and was apologizing that, hey guys, this is not us. Like, we love HR. We actually have open positions. And I was like, okay, this is what I see. That was my post. All day I see this. And then in the first 10 minutes, nothing happens. No one reacts to it. I was like, should I delete it? Should I keep it? I was like, let me keep it. It's fine. And then in the evening, I got 300 reactions, 400 reactions. Now it has 1,200 reactions or something. But I was so surprised that a post about nothing gets you 400 followers. That's crazy.
Reminds me of Seinfeld. Larry David said, let's create a show about nothing. So it's the most famous show.
Yeah.
And my most favorite.
I remember.
That's awesome. So tell me, how does your day start? What's a normal weekday for you?
On a normal weekday, I don't eat breakfast at home. I always like to get ready, to not rush myself. Then I take the bus to work. And then my first thing that I do is I get coffee. Of course, I need to be fueled before I do anything that requires my brain. Then I have my breakfast, and then I get to work. First thing that I do is I scroll LinkedIn, because I try to avoid scrolling LinkedIn outside of the office hours, because that's my job primarily. So I want to keep this work-life balance. So the first thing that I scroll, I see if there's any tendencies coming up. Then depending on the day and depending on what I need to prepare, if I have any meetings, if I don't have meetings and I have all day to myself, which is always awesome, I need to have physical notebook by my side to really pour everything right there. So I just draft everything, what I need to do for the day. If there's anything I need to report to my manager, because we don't have daily calls, we have weekly calls. But if there's something urgent that needs to be taken care of, I prioritize it. And I also have an Excel sheet of all my to-do for the week.
Oh,
I have planned tasks, I have unplanned tasks, and I have some follow-ups that I have. So I have my tasks written down, and I have priorities there as well. And I always do weekly accomplishments by the end of the week. And every day I try to update it, check it, because this is also a great table to present to my manager to see what I'm working on, also to present to anyone else who is interested to what's going on. But most importantly, it's for me to see what is in progress, what needs to be changed. So yeah, I have my physical notebook, I have the Excel sheet, and depending on the day, I always try to go out during the day. Because now in Estonia we have good weather.
Yeah.
You want to soak it in. And one thing that I started, and this came from my colleague, is that our office is on the 9th floor. And I have very health cautious co-workers, which is amazing. And we have this challenge to walk up to the 12th floor after lunch.
wow.
And one co-worker started it and the others joined him. And now I also joined him. But he's a very competitive person, which I really appreciate. So I try to incorporate this after lunch as well. And then I end my day at 5 something. And then that's the wrap for the day. And then I have gym usually in the evening.
That's amazing. But do you ever lose track of your Excel sheet?
Sometimes, but I try to always get back to it, be very consistent with it. And I also try not to document every little task, but the tasks that matter. Even if they're small, but that they matter, they're logged. Sometimes if I don't have time to put the statuses or to put them in details, I just write them in and then I refine it later.
Perfect.
But this is my holy grail. Also, I have it by each month, so I can see what I'm doing each month and how I'm progressing and in which endeavors I'm going into. And this is a tip that I got from random Instagram reels. So
Nice.
I like it. Remember when I used to have calendar at Formalu? And that started my obsession with calendars, I think, because we had content.
Yeah.
And the calendar was where I input my, I think, tasks as well.
Yeah.
But that was so good of you to also encourage that, because I remember at some point we moved to a different system, but I explained that, hey, Noosh, I really need to have the visual tool to see how my tasks look like throughout the day. And you were like, okay, sure. You report to me with the calendar and then we can do some other things with others. So,
right. How do you perform under pressure? Like, let's imagine you have 10 urgent, important tasks to do this week, and you should prioritize. You can't do all of them today. How do you prioritize these? How do you say, okay, this is where I start and this is how I want to go?
I go back to my to-do list and my priorities, and I also open up a calendar, because usually my tasks are connected to other people and their priorities, which is company's priorities. So I try to see, okay, which, let's say, event is coming up that requires this materials first. So that's the first thing that I look at. So other things can wait. Then I open up my Excel sheet and I see the priorities there to see that, okay, did I miss something right now that I set as a priority beforehand? So that is something that I check. And also I evaluate the efforts that I need into something. For example, I have one thing coming up that I have been planning the entire week for. Tomorrow I have blocked like 5-hour time slot, focus time, no disturb. I need to work on this. Anything else is going to be deprioritized. Doesn't matter what it is. I always refer to the context. Which one do we need right now as a business, not as Anano? And then I look at the efforts and I evaluate, okay, how much time do I need for this? Do I need actually to spend it this week, or maybe I can do it next week?
So tell me, how do you visualize everything in your marketing job? How does it visualize for you, and how can your manager make it easier for you?
Even outside of marketing, when someone is telling me a story, I visualize the story and I'm there with you in that story. And sometimes when I have a very expressive storyteller and they are talking about their adventures or their thinking or their thought process, I always get dived so deep in it. Sometimes it's hard for me to, pull out. Like, you're not there, you're here. Like, let's stay grounded and I try to touch physical surfaces. But the same applies to the marketing, because I like to translate the concept ideas, complex ideas, into simplified versions for you to easily digest and understand what's going on there. And my mind is always doing the math and translation. So whenever I'm talking to hardware teams, software teams, I hear what they say, but in real life, I try to translate. Okay, how can this sound so people understand it? How does this work? And it's important for me to understand how everything works before I tell people how these things work. I remember in Formalo as well, like we had some features that were quite complicated. And if you're not, let's say, a very mathematically gifted person, it can be difficult to understand.
Exactly.
But I remember that I was like, hey, I need to know, like, tell me how this works for me to then explain to people how this works. That's what my brain does. And how my manager can help me visualize the process. Tell me everything straightforward. I cannot deal with people speaking with intentions.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we're like, okay, I want them to understand this, so that's why I'm going to tell them, no, tell me how it is straight away and let me process this how I do by myself.
Yeah, I'm asking because you're not alone, and there are many visual people, especially in marketing, but in other jobs too. For example, some job roles need more statistical people, some jobs need more visual people. Like, how can people from different backgrounds, different mindsets work together? And from a visual person point of view, I want to know how you think.
I would say, leave the translation up to me as a visual person. I don't expect people to understand that, okay, if I tell them this thing, they might not understand. Like, no, it's not their responsibility. It's for me to ask that, okay, I don't understand this. Could you please define it? But also I would encourage other visual people to also ask questions when they need to feel this like gaps in their minds or this missing pieces, puzzles in their minds. Always to ask questions. I have worked with people that we have very different communication styles because we have very different priorities. I've had people whose priorities only the result and they don't actually see what the process needs, and I need answers to the process things. But then you have to speak up, and then picture paints itself.
That's very true. And you told me about your notebook.
Yes.
What do you write there?
Oh, I try to be very organized there. I try to be very neat and nice to have a beautiful to-do, but as the day goes on, then it just becomes like doodles and some, I don't know, random notes. I've seen your doodles as well.
Yeah.
It turns into that, you know, sometimes you need that for the brain to process.
Function, yeah.
Exactly.
I think I'm kind of the same. I'm a visual person. I used to be a developer. Imagine. I used to be like more mathematical. My mind worked in a mathematical way when I was a developer. And then I had to switch and shift my mind towards a visual world. And you need to express it to your customers, to your target audience, and tell them everything is possible and you should just imagine it. And if you can't imagine what you're talking about, nobody can. So you need to be a very visual person. Yeah, that's how I just doodled to express my visual mindset and just start working.
That was such a good take. If you can't see it, you cannot show it to the world.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's why at least every company needs at least one visionary person.
Exactly. What exactly do you do at Cleveron? Like, what's in your job?
It's my job to make sure that our LinkedIn represents what we do. And we used to have a different strategy before I arrived, but I think I managed to take it into more relatable content that is easy to digest for people. And I try to be very active with it as well. But LinkedIn's algorithm is different. So I try to also incorporate and encourage people to be active because LinkedIn always values people more than the company pages. So at first, I also had internal webinar to explain what LinkedIn is about and why we need people to be active. Another thing that I do is refine our decks. And these decks, our slides go out to our customers, mostly for the sales. And it's my job to make sure the visual integrity of the brand remains the same. So a lot of visual is going there as well.
Right.
But also we are now in the process of updating the CVI. So I have some gray area to play around with before we actually have updated CVI. We've also organized webinars, and this is the knowledge that I took from Formulo. Because when I was at Formulo, I slowly became integrated into hosting webinars on my own as well and explaining some concepts to Formulo's users. So that was a big experience. But I would like to highlight that more of the bigger experience was actually understanding the structure behind it, not just, okay, here's what you explain to people. No, like how do you use webinar as a tool to generate leads?
Mm-hmm.
And then having the email sequences and how do you actually follow up and how do you create this? And everything, like the base knowledge that I had, I took from Formulo and from Noosh, from this. So webinars are a great tool and they can be very useful for pretty much any industry in the world. And at Cleveron, they have done some webinars, but they haven't done them with customers or like frequently. And we've organized 2 webinars so far, but because it does require a lot of effort. The latest one that we did is with one of our biggest customers. They are Sweden's biggest grocery retailer, ICA.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a webinar / case study with them. So we utilize the content from this case study. We have them as a blog post and as sales materials as well. So I do a lot of that. Of course, every marketer does. How do I also take like piece of content and multiply it in different ways? So that's what I do a lot. And then, I don't want to say small things, but small operational things that get us running.
Yeah,
get us
marketing ops and everything. That's great. So how do you keep your company's storytelling consistent? And how do you do storytelling?
A lot of it is based on the tone of voice that we have. But I would say that it's not just I open the document and see how we need to speak, but you need to embody it. You need to feel what you're talking about. So I would say that I know who Cleveron is. I know what kind of person it is. I know that Cleveron is a very confident person that knows what they want and they know they can get it. I like to say that they're like a people.
Mm-hmm.
See, like a people. So you embody the brand and you apply this with all communication you have, whether it is commenting on LinkedIn posts. When I am commenting, I envision this person in my head. For me, Cleveron is a middle-aged person. I think it's a he. I'm not sure, but sometimes it's a he, sometimes it's a she. But I kind of embody this person before any content goes out. So I think developing the idea of what the brand is to you and then having that person with you, I think that's what really helps.
That's really good. That's a good advice. So how do you use ChatGPT in your work?
We actually now have Gemini for work, dedicated workspace for Gemini. And actually our teams are very encouraging us to use it in all processes. We've had a lot of internal webinars as well, explaining how we can manage, how we can create gems, how they can be useful for all the teams. And we share use cases of, hey, this is how I use. I also shared, for example, brand voice gem for everybody that, okay, if you're doing something external, you can use this. I need to be honest. As much as I love AI, I'm not the best prompter in the world. I still prefer, like when I get to, let's say, 3rd prompt and the output is still not what I expect, I just do it myself. And then there are some tasks which I don't even use AI for, mostly for writing. But LLMs, like I've used Gemini to create banner pictures for products. But I've also used Photoshop alongside this. So I have the foundation and then I refine it. So they are a great tool, but I had an interview with our head of software, and he said that not every problem requires AI as a solution. We see a solution, and if it's AI, we're going to implement AI.
That's very true.
100%.
How do you do meetings?
I love meetings, but I have rules. I need to be prepared and I need to have the agenda ready. If this is a meeting that I'm hosting, I always have agenda ready. I'm an extreme time control person. even when I'm late, I arrive on time, or I arrive when I say I'm going to be late for. So I value my time. I value the other side's time. So I try to be the one who manages. Okay, if we're going overboard, then I try to give a hint that let's get back to the main point. And if I can have a presentation, I have it. It's better for the visuals.
What if you're invited to a meeting you don't know about the agenda?
I have a bit of anxiety. I don't know what to expect because I like to be prepared for them. Because if we are having a meeting instead of email, let's use this time as effectively as we can. Of course, that can happen. However, mostly you will know what the general idea is about, and you would trust the person, the professional, your colleague, to kind of stay on the schedule for the meeting, or you step in. One thing I like to say that I haven't used yet, but I really appreciated that you did, was that we had this all hands meet. No, it was, retrospect
yes.
meetings. I really like that every meeting, Noosh started with a disclaimer, which we learned by heart by the end, but it was very important that you said it on every meeting, because I think Noosh said that, hey, let's not take anything we say here personally. This is here for us to give feedback, for us to grow. How does it go? I think you should know by heart by now.
This meeting is to get feedback and receive feedback. So share your ideas. Everyone's experience is valid, and speak your mind so we can all grow together. Something like that.
This is so good, and it was so helpful for you to open up and actually receive the critical feedback and also give out this feedback. And I tell it to every manager, even if you repeat yourself every week, even if it's every day, I think it's very important and it's amazing.
Yeah, everyone in the team were like, yeah, we know this. Why are you repeating?
No, it was needed. Where did the idea come from?
The idea of saying it?
Yes.
I always love transparent communication. So I think what makes teams great is communication. So if you want to share some feedback, you should. And I think everyone in the team should speak up, say what they have in mind, and just communicate. If you communicate well, you can work well. If you cannot communicate well, if you don't ask questions, if you think you would look dumb or something, you won't grow and the team won't grow. So someone will notice that you're not growing and you won't be part of that team anymore. So I think this is very important as a professional or as a beginner. If you want to grow in your work, you should communicate. And another thing that you mentioned, I just remembered, is learning the business. You said it in the beginning that you started to learn about the business and everything. I think this is also very important, that if you want to grow in your job, even if you're not a visual person, even if you're a developer, you need to learn the business model of the company. And by business model, I mean, how does it make money? What's the core value? And what's the value proposition it's giving to the customers? And why customers are paying your business? Why are they paying you? And everything about the business model. So, and who are these customers, basically? If you learn these, you will grow. Like, there's nothing you cannot do. Everything else can be learned, but this one also can be learned. But this is the basis of your job, the infrastructure of your job. And when you learn the business model, you can add your skill to the top to do the job magically. And if your job is visual, your skill will do the visual job.
100% agree. If you don't understand, because you're missing the context, if you don't know the business. If you just say that, I don't need to know the finance stuff because I'm just doing marketing. Honey, you're doing marketing because of the finance stuff.
Exactly.
So you need to stay relevant. You need to understand it. But I think this also comes with more maturity and experience, because of course, when I was starting to be in marketing, I was like, okay, what is marketing? How do I do it? How do I implement whatever I learned at university and put it here? So I didn't really think of business-wide.
Right.
But now every decision that I have in my head is, okay, how does this add value to our goals? How does this help us get more sales? How does this help maintain it connects to bigger values.
This is very important, actually. You shouldn't see the next step of your job. You should see 10 steps ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm doing this thing so the company can make money. You should see all the steps
Mm-hmm.
to getting money.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you're building the product, and okay, how is this product going to help? Who is this going to help? So who is going to use this? Why are they going to use this? If you see 10 steps ahead, then you can see the final outcome, and you can build for that final outcome.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Even within your industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Even within marketing.
Exactly. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh my God. Where do I see myself in 10 years? I recently, and by recently, in the past couple of months, started to think about this whole business and how my work affects the business that I work in. I really like this thinking, and whenever I have tasks that serve a bigger purpose, so you don't have instant gratification, I really enjoy that. I really enjoyed those tasks. To think in the business wise and to analyze, I really enjoy it. I will stay in marketing. I really like marketing. I would love to have a team. I've never had a team. So even though I am really hands-on, I would love to have a team, because within this last task that I had, I saw what I needed to be done. And then I also saw, okay, if I had person for this, person for this, person for that, this would be so much better. So maybe somewhere when I'm still in the marketing, but I have a team that we work together.
How do you imagine this team to work together, and how do you see yourself managing this team?
I have collaborated before. I have never managed a team of people before, and I know that is very different, and it requires you to have additional skills, people skills, and a lot more empathy as well. I do consider myself to be an empathetic person, but I think this will, being a manager responsible for people gives you more empathy towards yourself, towards the other people as well. And I think it teaches you more patience. And I think I need this. I need some patience because I'm a very impatient person. I know that this is not going to be quick. Okay, she's the best manager in the world. Of course, it's going to take some time, but I'm learning from the best. No. So this is also something that I will take with me in this journey. And yeah, this will be a challenge for myself, but that's what I want.
What are you impatient about?
Everything. I want things to be done on time. I have this schedule in my head, and I expect people to follow this schedule, which is not good. I need to communicate this.
So how do you keep your patience when you see the results in long term?
I think it's for me to see what I am achieving right now and evaluate, is this taking me there? And then because I have this point in the journey, in the map, that helps me to stay grounded and stay patient. I'm very happy that I get to experience the thing that I said right now. I'm up for everything. I'm up for trying new things. And I think this is how you actually learn what you're good at, what you enjoy doing. And I think starting at startups, because my starting point was the startups, is the best thing you can do for yourself. Startups are completely different from any other business model, and how the people that are in the startups are different as well. But I would say, beginning of the journey should start with the startups, because you learn the most. Of course, you do different things, but that's how you learn.
Exactly.
Of course, it depends who is on the other side and what kind of job environment you have. But if you have a good job environment, you take learnings, you try new things, you explore different tools and skills that you have. And after, you can maybe transition into a corporate world if it's for you, because corporate world is not for everyone. Because previously I worked at television and in the news department, and that taught me how to prioritize and how to be really fast. Because news can break out, you need to be first to post about it. So that was a bit toxic environment, very pressure, a very high anxiety-inducing environment. But I think that how my journey is evolving is very good, and I would recommend people that always try out being in a startup and being part of the team. And I think that's very important. That's what you tried to achieve and what you did as well, is make this person feel like they are part of your
Growth journey.
100%. It's not like you're using this person as a tool,
Yeah.
but this person is growing with you
Exactly.
and you're taking them on this journey.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
I think that's a wrap.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Anano, and thank you guys for joining. See you in another Workstyle.
Bye.
Bye.